Hello everyone and welcome to the Harrison Tippett Motorsport YouTube channel. Today we're going to be reacting to my predictions from the start of the season for the 2024 F2 Championship and comparing them to what actually happened. Now there's a few stinkers in here as well as a few great calls that I'd like to tap myself on the back for. So let's get straight into it with the bottom 4 drivers in the championship. As you can see, there, my prediction is on the left hand side with the second most furthest left column, and then the actual result is in the third column. And the difference is on that fourth column there. So we can see with the bottom 4, we have Joshua Dirksen, who I predicted to finish last with the AIX racing team. Obviously we know they did it a lot better than I thought, than most people thought they were going to do. Same with Joshua Barnard. So Dirksen goes all the way up 12 spots from 22nd in my opinion to 10th in real life. Barnard, obviously he stopped halfway through the season after Belgium, and so he missed those 4 rounds in the championship. So you can't really blame him for only moving up the 1 spot in that car, which obviously got better throughout the season, when at the end it was capable of winning races like we saw at Yas Marina for Dirksen, who's kind of those 25 points ultimately pushed him up like 5, 6 spots I think. So yeah, impressive stuff from AX Racing, a lot better than what everyone else thought they were going to be. Stanek though did a bit worse than I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to come 20th, he came 21st in that Trident team. Well, obviously his teammate, which is for sure, did a lot better things, and we'll see him later in the video. But yeah, he goes down 1 spot in real life, so it's a bit rough. I think he's sticking around though for the 2025 season, so hopefully we can see better things from him next year. Cordeal, he goes 2 spots up, which I think is good work from the driver. Just a solid gain, better than what I thought he was going to do. Now let's look at the next 4 drivers. The drivers that I thought were going to finish 15th through 18th. Starting with 18th is Villa Gomez. Now we all know now this guy finished bottom of the championship of the drivers that actually started the championship anyway, so he finishes 22nd and loses 4 spots from my predictions. Then we go on to Stanek's teammate in Vishor, who we all know is sticking around next season in F2, which is great to see because he's a class driver, one of the most experienced in the field, and on his day can pull out a great race result. He actually finished in 8th place, which is really good when you compare him to his teammate. I think Vishor moving to a different team will open up his options for finishing higher in the points than even next year. I don't think he'll be cut out for F1, but definitely some sort of other motorsport series, maybe WEC in the future. So yeah, up 9 spots for sure. Juan Manuel Correa, in his season back, I thought he was going to finish 16th. He obviously finished 18th, moves down 2 spots. It's there or thereabouts. I mean, in this championship, like one good race weekend can push you up the standings, like we've seen from like Joshua Dirksen, who had maybe 2 or 3 great races, and they kind of pushed him up to those heights of 10th. Correa just didn't have that luck, I think. So maybe we'll see it in the future from him, but it wasn't his to be this year. Kushmani, I think, is what I thought he was going to be. I mean, that car that Bortoleto and him had could finish higher up in the point standings, as Bortoleto shown, and Miney was there on some weekends, but obviously wasn't there on a lot of weekends. He got like 4 podiums and 1 win, which is okay, but yeah, I thought he was kind of a mid driver. He had a bit of a shine last season and a bit of shine this season, but he's too inconsistent. I think we saw that, so I'm happy with those kind of the 2 differences that I had. Obviously he finished 2 places higher up than I thought, but he also had a great team and a great car. Then we have the next 4 drivers in the championship from 14th to 11th. I thought it was going to be Marty, then Crawford, then Colapinto, then Aaron. Obviously at the start of the season, a lot of these guys were rookies. Marty rookie, Aaron rookie, Colapinto rookie in F2 anyway. And a lot of these guys were better than I thought they were going to be. I honestly didn't pay enough attention to Formula 3 last year than I should have done. I think that kind of blew up in my face with these championship results, because Colapinto, obviously he finished his season after Belgium and moved to Williams, so he could have finished even higher. I think probably maybe up to even like 5th or 6th, so instead of that 9th position, so he could have even messed up my predictions even more if he stuck around instead of joining the F1 team. Hopefully we see him back next year. But yeah, Marty, I think a similar kind of vibe to Miley, where his teammate had a championship winning car. His team probably spent a lot of effort on that driver instead, so it kind of gets left behind. But hopefully this season, with Hajar looking likely to join RB, he can be that team leader alongside Arvid Lindblad, and hopefully he can kind of show his experience more in that kind of environment. Crawford, obviously he's a lot better than I thought he was going to do. I think he had a really solid season and has done great overall. He managed to get a win and about 3 or 4 podiums, but I think his consistency throughout the race weekends kind of put him above those other drivers a little bit lower down the order, where he was kind of getting quite a few podiums, but also getting strong 8th, 7th, 6s here and there about most of the races of the season, which kind of pushes you up above those guys if you're scoring those consistent points. Then Paul Aaron, what can I say? There was a bit in the season where he hadn't yet got a win. I think it was until like Silverstone, where he just got podium to podium to podium, weekend after weekend after weekend. And everyone was like, who the hell is this guy? He got dropped by Mercedes. He came in and was just like, yeah, I'm here to stay. Obviously now he's with Alpine as a reserve driver, and hopefully that means he has the funding to stay in Formula 2 next year, so he can honestly take the whole thing. If he doesn't have that kind of slump he had around Hungary, Spa, Monza time, where he didn't score a point. But yeah, obviously very impressive Paul Aaron. Let's move on to the top 10. Now we have the top 10 drivers. And let's go straight up to 10th to 7th. O'Sullivan, Fittipaldi, Hajar and Bortoleto. Now starting with O'Sullivan, I think him and Fittipaldi have both kind of similar story, you know, where they ultimately finished 15th and 16th. I had finished 9th and 10th, but they didn't finish the last 3 races of the season, probably due to funding and other reasons. And I'm alright with that kind of prediction, because if they stuck around for those 3 more race weekends, I think they could have easily had 1 or 2 great race results, but it would have pushed them up into that top 10. So although it's sad to see them go because of the funding, it's an alright prediction from me. I'm not too kind of mad about it, but maybe next year I can kind of think about who actually has the funding to see out their season and include maybe a few drivers like the Oliver Goeths, like the Dino Beganoviches, who are going to come in late and kind of push up the order and push some of these other drivers down, you know. Then we have Hajar and Bortoleto. Now, this is a stinky prediction from me. There's one that's way more stinky further up, but I obviously didn't rate their seasons. For me, I thought Bortoleto was a very good driver, obviously coming off a win in F3, but F3 is a difficult kind of formula, you know, and it's a lot of luck involved. So I wasn't too like, I didn't give his just dues, you know. And he won the championship. He kind of came in late in the season. I think he was just kind of consistent up to around Austria. Then from there, he was getting wins, getting podiums, and scoring good results, while the other drivers, like Hajar and Aaron, were having stinky weekends. So yeah, but Hajar, obviously we knew here that incredible kind of run, both from around Australia to Spain, and then in the later half of the season, like he had that win in Spa, then he had a good Qatar weekend, but obviously stalled the last race in Abu Dhabi, which kind of ruined the build-up that F2 had for it, but oh well. Yeah, obviously both these guys move up 6 spots to 1 and 2 in the championship in actual life, so congrats on those 2. Then we have the last 3 of the kind of 4 to 6 range, and that is Antonelli, Maloney and Hauger. Antonelli, I got spot on, and I think it kind of came to fruition. I think he could have finished even higher up if he had a car that showed it was decent, because obviously both him and Bamman struggled. I think there's a bit of a balance, because I thought he was going to have a bit bad of a season and come good towards the end. And obviously he had a good kind of whole season. It wasn't amazing, but it was just a solid season for a rookie that had skipped F3. But he had a bad car, so it kind of evens out in the predictions. It's not what I thought was going to happen. I thought Premier were going to come and be good, as you'll see later on in the video. But yeah, he was my 7th driver. He actually came... No, he was my 6th driver. He actually came 6th. So that's 1 out of 1. Then we have Maloney. And if it wasn't for that last race kind of missing out on, I think Maloney could have easily come where I thought it was going to be 4th in championship. He actually came 5th. No. And then we have Maloney. and I had Maloney down for 5th, but he obviously came 4th, and if he didn't miss the last race weekend in the championship, he could have easily come 3rd as well. So it's an okay prediction from me. I think I'm happy with it. I knew he was going to be great, and obviously at the start of the season he was flying way ahead, and I don't know how he lost the championship from the position, but at the end of the day, if you're inconsistent, you won't win anything. And that's a fine prediction, I think. Dennis Hauger, I had him to finish 4th. He finished 11th, which is 7 places off. Now he was also one of the drivers that stopped racing when it came to Qatar, so he could have easily finished up to maybe 6th or 5th, but he missed it. I mean, if he got like a win in any of those races, I think he would have pushed up and obviously took points off other drivers. So when it's this tight in this championship, it's hard to call. And I think for a driver that missed 2 races, having him only 7 places off, I'm not too muffed about. So it's the right one. And then we have 3rd, and this is probably the worst prediction anyone's made in the history of predicting Formula 2. I had Ritomo Mieta finishing 3rd. Now we actually finished 19th. But hear me out. I had watched Super Formula the year before, watching Liam Lawson, because I'm a Liam Lawson stan, and he was magnificent. He was consistent, he was fast, he was calm. And I think those are the 3 qualities you need to do well in Formula 2. Obviously adjusting to life in Formula 2, coming from Japan to Europe, will be difficult. And sticking around for next season as well, so I think hopefully he'll do better and kind of live up to my hype that I built for him. But he didn't this year, and that's a bit sad to see, because he's a very fast driver. He's old. He's older than most of these other guys, but he is quick. But I think he didn't show that this year, so hopefully kind of can show that the next year when he comes back to these circuits with having experience on each of them. The next up is Martins. I think this isn't a terrible prediction, seeing as he was great last year. I think he finished like 5th last year, which was best of the drivers that were sticking around. But yeah, he finished 7th. He had a shocking start of the year. I think in the first 2 race weekends he didn't score a point. And then the middle of the season, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone, he struggled as well. It wasn't kind of until like Qatar, Hungary, Spa, Monza, Baku, where he started to win races and show that kind of form he did last year, 2023. So if he had the kind of season he had towards the end of the year, the whole season, he would have been up there fighting with Bortoletto and Hadjar. He didn't, so obviously he falls those 5 places from what I said he would finish. Then we have the guy that I said would finish championship winner in Behrman, and he didn't. He fell all the way down to 12th. Yeah, that Prema car didn't look great. Obviously Behrman had a few race weekends out, racing for Ferrari and Haas. That doesn't really make up the difference, and I think the difference to Antonelli as well is quite a big jump. I think there's around like 30 points between them, which is like a race win and a bit, which is, I think, a shocking result from Behrman. And I think he's lucky to have that kind of Haas contract agreed early on, have those F1 runs to prove that he can do it in an F1 car, because obviously in an F2 car he was struggling. Either Prem or him. He had 1 or 2 race weekends, I think, that were great. Like, I think the Red Bull Ring race, the sprint race, was amazing. And I think Monza and Lusail, the sprint races there, were great. But obviously those are sprint races. And that kind of proves that he's starting, like, bottom of the top 10, which isn't, like, an F1 driver standard. So we'll see how it goes next year. I hope he does well. But for me, there's a question mark over his performance. So yeah. Then we have the next kind of slide, and this shows you the kind of the differences. So obviously the biggest improvement, in my opinion, was Dirksen, who moved from 22nd up to the top 10, and the biggest fall was obviously Mieta, who fell from 3rd to 19th. So overall, I got a score of 116. This is I'm taking the score from each difference. So for Mieta, even though it was like -16, this is 16 points. So it's like golf. The lowest score wins. Obviously 116 isn't great. I think my F1 predictions was around 56. So it's a big difference between the 2 series. I didn't do great. Hopefully next year I'll do better. and I'll make those predictions around January, February time before the season starts. So please subscribe and like the video if you want to stick around and see those predictions for next season. Again, thank you for watching, and peace.